Wears many, many hats. He is also our technology guru. He is overseeing on a monthly basis, having a technology night, for an hour once a month. He is, if somebody wants to come in and learn Intune, which is Toyota's, Bluetooth technology, or Ford's sync technology, he's a guy that does a very fine job, and there's a lot to learn. And sometimes after you've gone through a delivery of a car, you've gone home, and it's a week later, it's like, I don't remember it all.
Yeah, we have
That's what
the beginner at the delivery process. You do the beginner lesson, and then like 2 weeks later, come back and we'll the actual more advanced features.
Right. After you've had a chance to try it and work it, then you realize it's more available to you. Then you can get to that next level. But anyways, Erik oversees that. But tonight, what he's going to talk about is the ABCs of safety. So there's some safety terminology out there, and there's some things that are safe, many items that are safe about a car that we just don't know exist, and we take it for granted, but it's pretty sophisticated stuff. And there may be some terminology there that might be helpful. And there are new technology, as Michelle can attribute to, coming out, daily in the automobile business. So if you can please give a warm welcome to Erik Faro.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. I tend to talk fast, we're going to try to slow down. It's hard. Once I start going, I'll get faster and faster. I'll try really hard to keep from that. What I pulled up here tonight is the Toyota Camry and the Ford Focus, two of the more popular models for each brand. The reason I brought these up is for specific safety features they both offer now. As many of you will remember, cars before, I always hear this, cars before, they're much sturdier. They were built like tanks. These new cars, they're kind of, you can push on them. They come up the doors, they're flimsy. That's all done by design. There's actually high intensity, high strength steel that's more lightweight, but it runs inside the doors on all your vehicles you're seeing on the lots that cars are making now. The reason they do that, better fuel economy for the lightweight, but it also gives you a harder shell. These cars are made to take, if in an impact for instance, if a car comes, it T-bones its vehicle, the side, there's actually locks that are on the inside the back of the doors. Feel free to, when we're done tonight, come over and look. You'll see little hooks on the bottom of the doors. Those are made, they actually latch to the door jambs inside and make it, instead of being just one panel being hit, it stretches the crash force all the way from the front fender all the way to the rear fender. So instead of being one dual that's taking the pressure, it's the whole side of the car. It's going to push your crash force front, back, up, and around. And the main goal of that is to keep everybody inside the vehicle safe. The exterior of the vehicle, I think we were talking about earlier today, there's gap insurance for that, there's insurances. They don't care about the vehicle. If that gets totaled in an accident, what the important part is the passengers inside the vehicle. I was recently in an accident in a Camry. Len actually is the one that looked at the vehicle. It was a little worse than I thought it was. I didn't think I did so bad. But I had, on the Camry there's 10 airbags. Of the 10 airbags, I think 5 or 6 of them went off.
Wow.
What happened was I lost control of the vehicle, went into a tree and actually knocked the tree over. It hit right up front here, enough where there was damage to the front here. It was part of my fender was pushed in, and it continued all the way to the back. They totaled the vehicle, but the nice thing was, I lost the windows on this side. The side curtain airbags came down covered them. Glass never came inside the vehicle. The seats themselves in the Camry now have side impact airbags on the seats, front row and rear row, to keep people sitting in the right position for the airbag to come out. I walked home from the accident, no issues at all. I also have a very similar situation. People I knew had a Corolla accident. The whole vehicle, all the way around, was completely damaged. You couldn't even tell what kind of vehicle it was anymore. If you stuck your head inside the vehicle, it looked brand new. Not one part of the interior was out of place. There was a crack in the windshield, and the rearview mirror was gone. Besides that, nothing was different. The reason that is, I'm going to pop the hood on this one here for a second. A little easier to see on this one. Now some people up close to the front will see there's these little pockets up front here. What that does is in an impact in the front, this hood is made to crumple there. The back of the hood is going to stay right where it is. The front will fold up almost like an accordion type idea. But the reason is, it keeps it on the front of the vehicle, it's not going to push it inside the vehicle. Your engine has what they call shear pins. You get into an accident and the engine, instead of coming into your lap as a driver or the front passenger, it's going to drop to the ground. Everything's made, like I said, just keep the force away from inside the vehicle. We're seeing that more and more. You have, actually, Glenn, if you see it more often than I do, of where we've seen it come in, engines drop down, the front, you're going to sacrifice the front wheel in a lot of cases because the wheel well's going to wrap right around it. But
they have what they call crumble points in the vehicle, even in the frame rails. It's designed to crush, absorb all that energy before it gets into the inside of the vehicle, and so forth. As you were saying, the hood, same thing, has crumble points. They put these spots here. They split up with the buckle. Instead of years ago, hoods used to go through windshields and people get decapitated and stuff. That's all gone. If you look inside, you see different areas. It's designed to absorb all that energy before it gets inside the vehicle. Cars are very safe today compared to what they were 25 years ago.
Can you see the hood?
yeah, so that's the next one. The hooks here, the Toyota ones are a bit bigger than the Ford ones. But what those do, again, you can't see the side, but it latches like this when closed. It's not going to take the hood up and pick it up. That hood's going to stay fastened right where it is. There's a lot of time and effort goes into the design of the safety of the vehicles, because that has become probably the most prevalent question that we get asked here. I help a lot of the salespeople as well as with customers with that.
Sometimes people get real offended when it looks really bad because you know this plastic stuff is broken and falls in the ground. Well, it's plastic and it's what's designed to do, okay? And you're really not getting into the integrity of the vehicle and so forth. Toyota doesn't do it yet, but Ford and most of them, they're using plastic radiator supports today. And people, when they get an accident, why would they make that out of plastic? What if they behind is what the strength is? And they've done testing. Plastic actually is stronger than some steel radiator supports when they crash, because they build them with integrated, okay, with they have ridges in them and so forth, so they take a harder hit, but they do break.
Another thing that's kind of interesting, everybody here knows what the jaws of life are, correct? The Acre or the Camry, the new design they're using, the jaws of life cannot cut through that pillar. That's how strong the steel is. They've actually getting complaints from fire departments saying, what do we do? They're actually designing, Toyota's helping the fire departments design a new technology to cut through the steel they're using. And even though the pillars are actually getting smaller, they're getting lighter, they're much, much stronger than they used to be. In fact, if you get one of those, the twist, you've done a really good job with that. I don't know what you do to cause that.
It brings a problem to repairing vehicles this way. We have to stay with the technology. We have one steel called boron, and you literally you can't drill it. Okay, to take something off, you have to take it, grind it off, and look new ways of fixing vehicles and train your techs. And they're putting a boron steel in areas like behind radiator support. The back of the cars, a lot of them now get boron rear body panels. So when you get rear-ended, all that damage stays right there in the trunk compartment, not inside the vehicle. So
almost the whole side of the Focus is made with that boron steel. All the pillars have it running through it. They're really into Ford's was the first time to kind of implement, for what we're carrying here, to implement that technology in their vehicles. Ford's actually a few steps ahead with a lot of that stuff. But first, the side impact airbags being standard, the side curtain airbags, Ford started that, and then within a year or two, Toyota get it, Dodge, Chevy, everybody started putting it in their vehicles. There's a lot of features, technology-wise, that helps with that. Most cars, we bought them in the last 4 years. It's got a picture on one of the buttons of the car with like squiggly lines underneath it. That's your traction control. Most people are never even going to realize that that's being used. If this vehicle, for instance, front-wheel drive, if your left front wheel starts to slip, it's going to apply the ABS brake slightly to that wheel, increase your power to the passenger side wheel, which is gripping the road better. And the reason they do that, prevents wheel slip, keeps you in control of the vehicle. They can use that technology to actually help fix with oversteer, understeer, going around corners, icy situations. It's designed to keep you in control with minimal driver input.
Is it a button you have to push?
Its default is always on. If you push the button, it turns it off. It actually puts a warning on your dashboard letting you know you turned it off.
Why would you want to do that?
The only time you really want to do that is, say, the best example I can use is if you're on a situation where both wheels are on ice and then neither one's gripping, they're going to keep canceling each other out. So you would hit that button to shut that off, and it allows you to spin the wheels. It kind of brings you back to the cars from 10 years ago where you can spin the wheels, kind of rock it back and forth, and try to get the vehicle out of the spot. That's the only time you really want to shut it off. Very rarely we have people that need to use that button. We have a lot of people that use it just because they automatically, oh, I must be slipping, and they hit the button. It's actually the opposite. If you feel like you're going to slip, just leave it right where it is.
And even rain, it works. And, you know, people won't realize that rainy roads are slippery, and it's working out fine for you. You don't know what's happening. So the computers,
What was the name
vehicles
of the
think so
button?
fast today.
Traction control. In each company, Ford has traction control and stability control, which are linked together. Toyota has what they call the Star Safety System. It used to be 5 points. Recently, they added a 6 point. And the 5 points that they've had standard for 4 years now, is your ABS brakes, which is anti-lock braking, your traction control, stability control, which monitors again where the car's going, where's it facing. That focuses more on the oversteer and understeer. Brake assist. What that is, if you hit the brakes, and say something runs in front of you, you hit the brakes, and it's an emergency situation, the car's going to recognize that. Even if you might not hit the brake the full amount, or you might not push it down all the way, it's going to notice how quick you hit it. It's actually going to apply 100% of your brake force to stop you. The brake force distribution, what that does is it monitors all 4 wheels and the braking. If you're going around a corner, it's going to apply the brakes differently to the inside wheels than it is from the outside wheels. If you're traveling with more weight in your vehicle, it's going to adjust how the brakes are going to react to compensate for the extra weight you're carrying. It's kind of neat now. Cars are kind of like buying 2 or 3 cars at once. The engine's going to monitor how you're driving for pickup or for gas mileage. The braking system is going to monitor how much weight am I carrying. You could be driving with 4 people in your car, and 2 people get out. There's a weight adjustment. They take luggage out of the back. There's a weight adjustment. The car calculates it right away and just takes off, and it's going to adjust the driving capability of the vehicle. I think that was 5 points on that. The 6th point they just recently added on Toyota is the Smart Stop technology. If you hit the gas and the brake at the same time, it's actually going to put your car in a neutral state, so it won't continue to accelerate. They did that, of course, in response to, was it last year, the year before, where they had the unintended acceleration. They've done a lot of research. Even though Toyota found that there wasn't a direct cause from the manufacturer that caused that, they still want to put people at ease.
How can you do that? Hit the gas and the brake at the same time?
A lot of the new cars, the brake pedal is a little bit wider, and the gas pedal they've actually moved over to give more of a sport feel. So you can actually use your foot and hit both pedals at once if you're in an emergency situation or if your foot slides off.
So does it stop people who ride with 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the gas?
Yeah, it'll put you in neutral. If your foot's on the brake and if the gas pedal's pushed
Quite
more
a
than
few people I would like to see that happen.
they're gonna have that more. Yes, they're gonna have that in all their vehicles now.
Oh my gosh.
And most people, when they buy a car, even in the last couple of years, have no idea that car does any of this.
No, I didn't.
And that's one of the things that's, as a salesperson, we don't even think about it. We see them all the time, we deal with them, we know it has it, and we just assume, because we deal with them every day, everybody else knows about them. They were talking earlier about hands-free systems. They have come a long way. Toyota, Ford, I'm going to focus on them because that's who we carry. Their goal is they want to keep you not distracted. They want to keep you safe in the vehicle. They don't want you to have to worry about hitting this button. I mean, the older systems, especially in the before last year, there's a lot of, you might touch this, and it's going to do something. It's going to shut the radio off. It's going to turn something up. It's going to turn some light on. they're trying to put things more in areas where you're not going to take your eyes off the road. The new Ford system, the sync with the MyTouch. You hit a button, you can say climate 68 degrees, and it's going to change the temperature to that setting for you. Radio tuned to 98.3. It's going to tune to your radio station. You can run your phone, the audio system, the navigation, and the climate control all by voice on the Ford with the available MyTouch. Toyota's starting to get into that with the Entune. I have that in my car, and I just learned about a week ago. I hit a button, I said tune to 100.1, and it changed the radio station for me. I could say, you know, where I want it, if I have the navigation, destination 59 Distant Avenue, Laconia, New Hampshire, takes it one line and inputs the destination for me. It gives me 3 different routes to choose from without having to move my hands from the steering wheel. Don't have to look away, it does it all automatically for me.
But you do have to move your thumb, right? Or
There's, on both cars, the Ford and the Toyota,
Yeah.
the voice button is just, you kind of have, they're all kind of going to that T shape on the steering wheel. It's on the right hand, the Toyota's on the right hand side, where your thumb would actually rest on the steering wheel. And the Ford, I might get this backwards actually.
Yeah, backwards.
Yep,
Left.
yes. Toyota left, Ford's right. Get them always back, I get them backwards all the time.
Dyslexia.
But yes, exactly. I like
I know all about it.
it. I'm right there with you. But they've done a lot, and they don't want you to have to look away. They have cars now, a lot of the Fords are coming through with automatic wipers. You turn the button up once, if it rains, it's going to turn the wipers on for you. It's going to change the speed depending on how fast you're driving, how is the windshield getting wet. It's going to alter everything. The big thing is the less interaction you have to do, the more availability you have to stay focused on driving.
What about high beam and low beam?
Some of the vehicles are having that feature as well. You'll see some cars will have a much thicker piece here for the mirror stock, and there's going to be a little camera in there that actually registers when lights come in. And it'll shut the headlights off, the high beams off, and turn the high beams on. And it needs to be a notice of like 5-10 seconds. I believe it's between 5 and 10 seconds of how long it takes for the high beams shut off, because it doesn't want you to be going through street lights and have your lights flashing.
Can they be put in a car?
Hmm?
Can they be installed?
Not as of yet. I believe it's Audio Tech that's working on coming up with systems like that to go along with the factory settings. I'm trying to think which one it is. It has it, right? Ron's got an Explorer Limited. His car has the auto high beam function, has the adaptive cruise control. It parks itself. He's not very good at parking, so he needs a parallel park that way. But there's systems on, I showed my customers yesterday, they were taking delivery of their vehicle. It says auto with the P underneath it. You hit that button, you're driving along parallel parking spaces, it'll sense the space for you. It'll tell you, stop vehicle, pull forward, stop, shift, and reverse. You move hands from steering wheel. You take your hands off the steering wheel, and the steering wheel moves. Don't touch it. Then it shuts the system off. But then the car will actually back itself into the spot and let you know, go back further, pull forward, and it gets you within. I mean, when you're backing up, you're that close to the car behind you. It's not going to let you. Yep. And it's going to park you perfect every single time. At this point, you still need to control the gas and the brake pedal, because there could always be somebody that something jumps out or something happens, some unforeseen incident could happen. With that in mind, Toyota currently right now, as they're calling the Prius AVS, which is the automated vehicle system. They just had a blind gentleman drive through a drive-through in order Taco Bell for the first time in his life. They're now having vehicles that literally drive themselves. They're driving them right now in Nevada and in California, testing them out. And they talk about Toyota being the first car to make a generation of people that don't know how to drive. You're going to be able to get in your car, say where you want to go. It's going to drive there. It's going to be able to monitor the speed limit. It's going to be a very, because there's going to be, we were talking earlier with the people giving up their licenses, there's eventually going to be a time that Toyota's actually working on now. You're not going to have that issue. It's going to monitor the cameras. There's going to be sensors and cameras all around the vehicle. It's going to monitor, like I said, speed limit signs, cars, how the distance in front of you to the next car. It'll actually, even with the adaptive cruise control now, it'll speed you up and slow you down to keep you a certain distance from the car in front of you. Of course, if you're coming up to like a car and it suddenly stops, the car will slightly apply the brakes, but they still want you at this point to hit the brakes. Lane keep assist. Ford and Toyota both offer systems. If you're driving on the road and looks like if you're getting tired and you start swerving out of your lane, the Ford will vibrate the steering wheel. And on the entry level system, it'll vibrate the steering wheel, it'll let you know. I believe the seat vibrates too. And it'll let you know. It'll let you know that keep alert, you're going off the road. The new Ford and Toyota, the upgrades Ford system and then the Toyota system will actually move the steering wheel and keep you in lane.
That's pretty amazing.
So with your lane keep assist and your adaptive cruise control,
Who needs insurance?
yeah, I was going to say, the Ford has a
On
coffee
the dash.
Ron
is driving a Ford like that right now. Ron is our service manager.
I wanted to know about it, so when people come in and ask me about it.
Oh, yeah.
They're working on the vehicle too now. Right now, a vehicle will learn how you drive. The shift points will change. It's all it's based on gas mileage. They're working on a vehicle right now that actually driving down the road, it'll say, Betty, you've been driving for 2 hours for the break. Do you think it's time to stop at a rest area? If you're stuck in traffic, last time you're stuck in traffic, you like to listen to classical music. Would you like it attuned to classical music? That's the next generation of smart vehicles.
See, then when something like that goes, it's gonna cost more money to get fixed.
Luckily, when there's the new technologies there are, there was a braking incident where the ABS on the Toyotas were kicking on a bit too early. It's staying on. They went out there with the computer, hooks it up to the inside, under the dashboard. There's a little plug. They were able, 5 seconds? You plug it in, change the code, and it fixed the whole system.
Yep, and they probably have to charge you 2 hours for doing that.
Oh, they charge us that. They charge the sales department. But when issues like that come about, the companies are both very, very, very strong about standing behind the product and helping the customers with that. Toyota's been unbelievable with their new system. When they had an issue, when they were looking for the braking issue, they made us stop selling all the vehicles. They wouldn't let us sell any Toyotas that had that, that were in that range of vehicle. The reason they did that was, even though people were saying, I never had the problem, they wanted to make sure it wasn't an issue. They want to keep their drivers safe.